Mayor Mamdani and Governor Hochul delivered an update in Queens on the status of 3K and pre-K programs for this fall. As of today, the city has extended more than 99,000 offers for spots in 3K and pre-K programs. And this year, 70% of families received their top choice compared to 65% the year before. The average distances between homes and programs also decrease. The offers extended today are preliminary. Families will be able to express interest in additional programs over the coming weeks.
City's original pied-à-terre tax plan seems to be taking on a life of its own. As the proposal moves along, experts say that it's causing this ripple effect across the market, raising concerns for all home buyers.
And join us now to break all of this down is Jason Haber from Compass. He's also co-founder of the American Real Estate Association. Jason, thanks for joining us again.
You got it. Good to see you.
We've talked about this one quite a bit, but give us an update on the latest on the pied-à-terre tax.
Well, you don't have to be fancy with me. Let's call it what it is, the make it up as we go tax. This is improvisation masquerading as governance. There clearly was no plan in place for how to implement a pied-à-terre tax when this was announced last month.
Yeah.
How do we know that? There were no hearings. There was no testimony in Albany from experts. Instead, this was announced at the 11th hour when the budget was coming to an end. Budget still hasn't been passed yet. And no one realized how complicated it would be in Albany to implement this here. And now we're seeing that because the way they want to do it is completely backwards and counterproductive.
Yeah, they're hoping to make $500 million from this. Do you think that can even be achieved?
I have no idea, because the way they want to do it is a two-tiered structure. For 2 years, they're going to use X formula. Then, once they figure out the system, they say in 2 years they'll be able to have a whole new system in place that will properly evaluate the tax levels.
Okay, give us like the nuts and bolts of this, though, because sometimes people may not understand who this affects, why it's being put in place, and maybe explain that first.
So the pied-à-terre tax is essentially a second home buyer tax, which, by the way, in an election year is great because it means voters don't pay it, because it means you're not domiciled here.
Yeah. So
if you don't live here and the home is valued over $5 million, there's a tax to be levied. Now, how you get to that $5 million figure, that's where this goes off the rails very quickly.
Because it's all subjective.
It's all subjective, and there's, you can use the Department of Finance market value, which has no bearing on actual market value.
Yeah.
So if you look at the tax, in a co-op, whether you have 4 units or 400, there's one tax bill for that co-op. So you can't just go by the tax bills. It's very complicated, and I don't think that they really fully understood this when they announced it last month.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that. There's another proposal that's also creating a lot of concern. It's the all-cash tax proposal. So explain that, and does it apply to all homes?
Yeah, so all cash purchases are not some sort of loophole. It's the backbone of our system. This is not a luxury tax. 60% of all transactions across all 5 boroughs of this city are all cash. Over $3 million, it's 90% of all transactions. This is an important part that keeps our velocity going of our transactions here. By the way, the more transactions you have in New York, the more real property transfer taxes we collect, the more money we have for schools, police, fire, parks, playgrounds. That all goes to the general fund. So now, instead, what they're saying is, if you get a mortgage, you pay the mortgage recording tax. So they're saying, well, you avoid the mortgage recording tax by paying all cash, so we're going to tax you there now as well. Now, we talk about affordability a lot, by the way. Does this make the city more affordable? I don't think so. How about eliminating the mortgage recording tax for first-time buyers in the city? That'll make it a heck of a lot more affordable for people to buy here.
Maybe you could explain what it would be like if you went back to the 90s, a mortgage on a $300,000 home, then compared to what it looks like now, especially even after implementing something like an all-cash tax.
How about this? How about someone in Brooklyn bought a 3-family home back in the 90s, and now they're looking at potentially their taxes going up if they reapportion the taxes here, and at the same time freezing the rent on the rent-stabilized tenants. So their income gets frozen, but the expenses will go sky high.
Yeah, it's hurting. So thanks for breaking this all down for us, Jason.
You got it. A lot happening right now on this. Yeah, good to see you too.
We'll catch up with you again.